So I did a little Instagram poll, and it turns out that the vast majority of people said they were struggling with lighting, getting their lighting right on their pictures. So I'm going to show you 5 lighting techniques that you can do in your own home with any digital camera or even your mobile phone. First of all, you need to be aware that there's 2 different types of light. There's light that casts sharp shadows, that's sunlight and spotlights, and there's light that casts soft shadows or no shadows, that's overcast days or even indoors. There's no best lighting, it's just about context and how you use it. So you can make a really moody pictures on a bright sunny day, and you can also make bright and airy pictures on a cloudy day. Most of you will be using automatic mode on your digital camera probably, or using your mobile phone, and that's fine, but there is one technical thing that you're going to have to learn, and that's exposure compensation. All that means is forcing the camera to take the picture darker or lighter than it would otherwise do. On the iPhone, that's as simple as touching the subject and then dragging your finger up and down the screen to make the picture brighter or darker. As every digital camera is different, you'll have to Google your own camera and how to change the exposure compensation in automatic mode. You're going to want to do this exercise either early in the morning or later into the evening when the sun is at its lowest points during the day. It's quite difficult to get nice shots during midday. So we spent one morning just looking for interesting areas around the house and the garden to take pictures. The first place that we found was the top of the stairs, and this has an east-facing window with a blind. So the morning sun was coming through the blind. I asked Belle to sit directly in the sunlight and move the camera around until I found something interesting, and I actually liked shooting through the banister because it created some kind of crazy reflections on the side. Now, because we're photographing in a high contrast situation, especially your mobile phone will try to take a picture that shows all the detail in the background and the detail in the highlights, which makes for this weird looking kind of high dynamic range effect. So what we need to do, we need to force the camera to underexpose the picture so just the highlights are correctly exposed and the background goes quite dark to create kind of a moody, interesting picture. What happens when you underexpose a picture and the background goes dark, you start to only see the brightest areas of the picture. And as we were shooting, I noticed that you could see the front door window and it was illuminating. So I lined the camera up so you could see the highlights on Belle and the door window in the background, just to create a bit of an interesting background and just to illustrate this idea. So you might not be a people person, or you might live alone. So looking for still lifes or close-ups around your house can be a really interesting photography project. I just happened to notice this pile of washing up creating some really interesting reflections on the kitchen worktop. So I threw a few flowers that we had lying around and just moved them around a little bit until the composition was nice. And then again, because we're dealing with highlights and a sharp or harsh light, I underexposed the image, making it darker than it would have been. If I'd have left the camera on its automatic setting, it would have tried to make the background quite bright, and the highlights would have been too bright. But by underexposing, it just becomes a nice, interesting, moody shot where you can see all the texture and the colours. One of the biggest problems that people have is taking pictures outside on sunny days. The old saying goes that you should always stand with the sun on your back if you're taking a picture. But I don't know many professional photographers that actually use that rule. If you see here, this is 2 shots of our garden. So on the right-hand side, it's in full sun in the morning, and on the left-hand side, we've got a big shady area. So I put Belle in the sunny spot and told her to look at me with the sun on my back. And this is usually the result. You get strong, sharp shadows on her face. She can't look at you because it's too bright. But simply by switching the situation around 180 degrees and putting the sun on Belle's back, she creates her own shade and instantly becomes more relaxed. She can look at the camera and smile. It's much more flattering to photograph people in shade because in direct sunlight it picks out every little imperfection. The trick to this picture is you must overexpose the picture. So you make the picture brighter than the camera wants it to be. Because you're shooting with a bright background, it tends to make your subjects darker, and we've all done that where we've tried to take a picture of somebody and they're just a silhouette against a window. Well, the trick is to force your camera to overexpose the shot. Often when I'm shooting weddings on a sunny day, I'll move people into the shady areas, which seems like a crazy thing to do, but it's because it's the most flattering place to photograph people. And as long as you overexpose the picture slightly, you'll still get a nice bright picture. Something to look out for when you're photographing towards the sun, that if the sun enters the lens of the camera, you get these crazy lens flare effects, which I personally love and can't help experimenting with, but it's just something to note, and especially if you've got makeup generally all over your camera lens, it'll make it even worse. One of the secrets of professional photography is that we tend to look where the best light is and photograph there rather than look for the best backgrounds initially. So Belle really wanted a picture against this tree with the pink flowers, and to make the shot work, we had to overexpose the picture a little bit because the sun was behind her again. But what we also did is get a large piece of white card, and I asked Olive just to hold the reflector to bounce some of that light back towards Belle, which illuminates her face and just brings the shot to life. We all really wanted to make a rainbow picture in this set, so the only way I could think to do it was to use the hose pipe with the sun reflecting through the water. It actually took us quite some time to get the angles right so that the water created a rainbow, but the shot worked really well in the end, and we created the rainbow picture that we wanted to do. As a photographer, I'm most inspired by the things I just find around me. So setting these little projects where you're forced to either create a picture in a single room or just around your house can be really inspiring and teaches you so much. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy creating your own little photography experiments. Keep an eye on my mentoring page on my website, that's mark-tattersall.co.uk, where there will be other tutorial videos and information on my one-to-one tutoring.